Hi, I'm Donna from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and welcome to part 2 of how to make a pysanka egg. This is the part where we're going to do our guidelines, just drawing our pencil lines. So there are a couple different ways to do that. As I said about the design that we're going to be doing, which is this egg right here, if you're just tuning in, is to draw your pencil lines. Now there's a couple different ways to do that. A lot of experienced people, including myself, if I'm feeling like living on the edge, draw them without any guidance. We just look at the egg and we eyeball it and we draw a pencil line one way and then one the other, and we've gotten pretty good at eyeballing that. But there are some tools to help with that. And one of them is this. It's called an egg lathe. There are a lot of different egg lathes on the market. This is one that's called a craft lathe. I bought it on Amazon. And what you do is you can put your egg in between these two little suction cup thingies that will spin the egg. You hold a pencil while you spin, and it makes the marks on the egg for you. It takes a little bit of practice to get it right, because your egg can be crooked in here and then you get crooked lines. So, you have to mess with it a little bit. There's other models of egg lathes, some of them much more expensive. I think this one's about 30 bucks. And it's adjustable, so you can put bigger or smaller eggs in it. And of course, this egg also would need to be turned the opposite direction. So then you have to adjust it so that now your egg is facing the other way, the long way. But since you don't have an egg lathe, I'm going to draw the lines using rubber bands. So I'm going to adjust the camera now so that it's on my egg, and we're actually going to get started in doing the step of dividing the egg. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is divide our egg. We have got a goal of making the egg look like this. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our vertical line. To do this, I have a rubber band here that will go around my egg vertically. You might notice that my work surface is this butterfly pillow looking thing. This is called an egg rest or an egg pillow that a lot of people use. It's just a piece of fabric that is stuffed with rice or buckwheat or some other kind of substance, so that you can rest your egg on it and not have to worry about your egg rolling off the table. Before I started using these, I just simply used paper towel. So I've taken this rubber band and I have put it around the center of the egg, and I have compensated for the fact that this rubber band is about 1/8 of an inch wide, so I've kind of made it 1/8 of an inch off from the center. Now I'm going to draw my lines a lot darker than you probably would for in real life, because I want these to show up on camera. The lines will wash off and when you do your final de-waxing, but not if you draw them as heavy as I'm drawing them. So I'm doing this as heavy as I am for the purpose of having them show up for you. Okay, so you can see I've divided the egg. Now you've got the egg divided in half. Now you take your egg and you just make it quarter turn, and now you're going to divide it the other way. So now I got to put that rubber band back on. Easier than said than done, because after all, they're rubber bands. Get that adjusted around the center the opposite direction. So basically what you're doing now is dividing the egg in quarters with 2 vertical divisions. Once again, compensating for the width of your rubber band so that when you draw your line, it actually is pretty much down the center of the egg. So now I'm going to draw this line. Now, this is a little awkward because I'm trying to keep this egg in camera view at all times. If I didn't have the camera here and I wasn't worried about that, I would probably be picking this egg up or moving it around a bit more. So now what you've got is an egg divided in quarters. You've got 4 lines going around the egg. This is what it looks like at the top, and this is what it looks like at the bottom. Now you need to make an equator. So now I'm taking a slightly smaller rubber band and putting it around the middle of the egg horizontally. And once you have that in place, I do have to say I am not being very careful. What I'm teaching you is the principles, not the preciseness. So, but with the design we're doing, it doesn't matter. There are a lot of designs where it would matter greatly because there's a lot of things that have to match up on some more sophisticated designs. But this beginner egg, if we're a little bit off, it doesn't matter. Okay, now we've got our equator. So we've basically divided the egg in eighths now. The next thing we need to do is to draw some diagonal lines. So let's designate with a little X the front and turn it all the way around, a half a turn, and the back. So now we've got an X on the front and the back of the eggs, and the line in the middle would be designated the side of the egg. On the lines that are the side of your egg, so you're looking at the front of your egg, just eyeball this. You can measure it if you want to. A lot of people keep measuring tapes nearby, and you can do that if you want to. In fact, there are supplies that have measuring tape that actually have adhesive on the back. So I have this whole roll of measuring tape here that actually is adhesive. And I can use that when I know that my design has to be exact. But you can also eyeball this, and it's not going to matter in this particular design. So you're looking at the front of your egg. On the side of your egg, find the distance that's between the top and the equator, and just make a little line or a little dot there. So I'd say that's about halfway. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. That's about halfway. And then looking at, and do it at the bottom of the egg as well, the bottom half of the egg, there, and about there. Okay, now starting at the center with that X that you already made, let's extend that X to where your dot is that you just made. So now I'm going to take that and go like this, and then like this, and then over to this dot, and then over to this dot. So now what you've got is an egg that is divided diagonally as well. So the front of your egg now has 8 sections. And then if we spin it all the way around to the back and do the same thing. So you don't need to draw those dots now because you've already got the other lines. And what you're going to do now is make them match up. So starting at the center here, just draw down to match that line. Draw to match this line. And this line. And this line. And I can see I can see that these are not in the least perfect. But once again, for the design that we're doing, it doesn't matter. So that is your penciled egg for the design that we're doing. Once again, it's right here. And that's what we've got, is this egg right here divided in this fashion. So in the next segment of this video, we're going to do the waxing of the white.